Hi, and welcome to my video on preparing for travel as a photographer. It's a really good time for me to be doing a video like this because I've got some overseas travel coming up. I'll be away for nearly 5 weeks, and I didn't want to repeat the mistakes of a few years ago where I took far too much gear. The difficulty is that I do film video and stills, and I like to have a few projects on the go. So it's tempting for me to take lots of gear just in case I might need it. A travel kit for photographers is very personal, and it really depends on what sort of photography you're hoping to get. It may well be that just a high quality phone is how you want to travel. Really high-end phones with 2 or 3 lenses are really versatile and quite good these days. So if you want to travel fast and light, a phone might be enough. If you do travel with just a phone though, I'd suggest that looking at a few really small, handy, cheap accessories. One would be a tiny tripod. This just means that you can set up the phone anywhere away from you and put yourself in the picture, or get shots of other things happening with the phone off to the side. A very low overhead and weight and cost, but quite useful. And the other thing to get, if you can, is some sort of tiny remote to trigger your phone camera. Quite handy if you're doing selfies and getting yourself in the shot. So a couple of little tiny things that will fit in your pocket, but will make a really big difference. So I'll go through my kit a bit at a time and explain why I've chosen the things I've chosen. I will say that choosing any amount of kit, if you're a keen photographer, does come down to a compromise when you're traveling. You can't really take everything. So my compromise is I'm taking one camera body, well, one main camera body, mirrorless camera body, with one main lens, a 35 to 50 Tamron lens, which is quite heavy, but it effectively replaces 4 older lenses I have, including this hefty 100 to 400 telephoto, which I'd love to take, and you can get some great shots with it, but it's very heavy, very big. This only goes to 150, but I can live with that for travel. But having that range of 35 to 150 on a single lens on a camera that I can keep with me a lot of the time is really handy for travel. I've also got a Peak Design strap that clips on and off quickly. And for a lot of the time when I'm walking around looking for opportunities, for example, photographing street scenes and things that are happening in the street, I'll just be traveling like this. The Peak Design strap system is really comfortable with a heavy camera. It's not quite right there, but that's one way to rig it up. It sits quite well on my hip if I'm walking around, and I can very quickly use the camera. So that's my main camera system. I have made a little bit of allowed myself the luxury of one extra lens. The reason I'm taking this lens is it's a 24mm, which is wide angle. I find it significantly wider than the 35. It's quite a light lens. It has a very fast aperture, 1.4, so it can be used in dim light, dim interiors. It can use for night scenes. It's quite a good astro lens. So it's very versatile, and it just gives me that little bit extra, so I've allowed myself that luxury. I've got 2 tripods. Because I shoot a fair bit of video and stills and sometimes some time-lapse, it's quite handy having 2 tripods. The thing is, these 2 tripods weigh as much as the tripod I used to take, and this is a carbon fiber tripod, so it is designed for travel, but this weighs just over twice as much as those 2 tripods. And the compromise in this case is that this tripod does come up a little bit higher, which is quite useful if you're not wanting to bend down to look at your camera, whereas these 2 tripods don't come up as high, but I can live with that. Also, because they're light, they can get blown around a bit more in the wind or feel the vibrations. So with that in mind, I'm also taking a cloth bag So all I need to do is fill this with something, could be another lens or could be rocks, put it below the tripod, and that makes it super stable even in strong winds. I also have a lightweight aluminium tent peg which weighs next to nothing, and I can put that in the grass or some soil and tie the string to the bottom of the tripod. That also makes it very stable. I have a couple of filters, polarizing filters that fit either of those lenses. A polarizing filter is one of the most versatile filters you can have, especially for travel. I have another video specifically on polarizing filters, and I'll leave a link in the description. So on to some of my other kit, which is mainly for video. I have a 360 camera, a Insta360 X4. Very versatile camera, really good for vlogging, super wide capture at very high resolution. That's a spare battery. I also have a extended selfie stick for that camera, and I can also use lights and various other things on this. This is my extended selfie stick with the Insta360 camera. It goes out to about 3 meters, and you can get some really interesting things with it. I'm also carrying a flash system, the Godox flash system, because I find that combined with the Sony camera, this flash system really adds quite a bit of impact to portraits particularly, but also to shots around a location where I'm doing close-ups of trees or close-ups of something else. Having this flash and this remote, so I can fire the flash away from the camera pointed at a subject, it can really lift your shots into being something a bit different. So that's also perhaps a bit of a luxury, but I think it's worth it. On to some of the other video accessories. I've got a microphone kit here, the DJI Mic 2 set. It's a Bluetooth microphone, extremely versatile, works really well, has its own charging base in here, so when you pop the microphones back in, they charge in the little box. Really good microphone kit, because I think if you're recording video, sound is actually more important than a lot of people think. I've also got a very lightweight phone gimbal. This is the Insta Flow 2. The thing I like about this is it is very light. You can set it up within about 30 seconds and be shooting, within that 30 seconds. It gives you really stable video. It does a lot of tricks. So for a small package, lightweight package, this gives me a lot of versatility as well. Now I'm more onto the accessories or additional things that just make your life easier. I've got this top of a LowePro bag that's actually from another camera bag, but I've decided to take it with me because it weighs next to nothing, and I use it just like a sling bag. So it comes with a strap that I can clip in, and just put it over my shoulder. And so if I'm walking around and want to carry just a very lightweight kit, for example, just this camera and maybe an extra lens, some lens cleaning cloth, extra cards, whatever, I can carry that in this bag, and it's always right there and handy. It isn't padded, but I found that doesn't really matter. A bit of a hack for traveling is if you've got lenses or small, valuable, slightly fragile items, use one of your pairs of socks. Make sure you've got at least 2 pairs. And you can use the sock effectively as a lens cover, and that'll stop it getting banged against other items in your bag. Other things I'll be taking with me, but are not necessarily in my camera backpack. I take a cleaning kit. Dust on your sensor can be really frustrating if you're trying to retouch that out, especially in video. So I always take a cleaning kit with me. A blower brush particularly I use a lot of the time just to try and keep dust away. And this is a sensor cleaner for cleaning dust that's quite stuck to the sensor. I've got a plastic bag with a rubber band. I use this as a camera raincoat. Talking of rain, I also have a very small lightweight umbrella that I can actually attach to a tripod so it can cover a camera and protect it from rain. Also handy for me if I'm wandering around in the landscape. I have a bunch of accessories here which are just tiny things that if you don't have them you really feel their loss, such as simple stuff like spare batteries, a few plasters and headache pills that's about my medicine kit. I also have a few Peak Design camera strap hooks. I find these really useful because it means you can attach a camera strap to anything. You could attach it to tripods, you could attach it to cameras of course. So these have the Peak Design hooks attached to the camera and I can move them around different points on the camera. And because I take these extras, I also take a lightweight Peak Design camera strap. And this is quite handy if I do want to carry some extra tripods over my back or another bag or something. I also have a drone kit that's particularly good for travel. This is the DJI Mini 4 and it's legal for flying in European or EU countries without an additional license. You do have to register it. Within this weight category you don't need a special license. The other advantage of it is that in this small lightweight package I've got 4 batteries, battery charger, filters, the drone itself and a drone controller. So it's pretty incredible what you can get in that small lightweight package. So as far as carrying this gear goes, I don't fit all of this gear in a camera backpack. So some of it would be in a suitcase because it's accessories, and then I might pick and mix for a particular day or a particular outing. But the camera bag I use for most of my little excursions is this LowePro ProTactic 450. It's the biggest you can get that will be allowed in cabin on board. It's also designed for fast access, and it's also designed for outdoors photographers because if you put it down on the ground it opens from the back, so the back of the camera backpack doesn't get wet and saturate your back. I find that really useful because over the years I've had many camera bags and after a while I got in the habit of carrying a plastic sheet because the amount of times my camera bag would get wet sitting on wet ground. So that's a really good system. Because I'm also spending some time traveling by bike, I intend to hire an electric bike while I'm there. I will be carrying an Ortlieb pannier bag with me. This is also quite lightweight and quite versatile. I've got a padded camera bag insert and it comes with its own strap so that if you take it off the bike you can walk around with it. It's also completely waterproof, so that's quite a handy bag to have. Now, onto a little hack about traveling on aircraft. If you do get into a weight problem, which I often do get to the limit of the weight very quickly, a little bit of a hack for still carrying your valuable camera equipment with you on board, but not putting it all in your onboard backpack so that is obviously overweight. What about just getting a jacket? It can be any jacket as long as it's got some pockets, because there's no rule about putting things, slightly weighty things, in your pockets. So this way you can easily carry a little bit of extra, maybe not that, but anything that's slightly heavy has a pocket, and that way you can carry quite a bit of extra gear if you have to. So that's it. I hope you found something useful in this video. It's always a bit of a compromise and difficult deciding what to take, but in the long run you want to get maximum benefit out of whatever you do take and make sure you do actually use it. So happy travels. See you in the next one.